Welcome. No music this time. I heard you. If you look at the book on public health, we have in our readings for this week the no smoking debate. If you open on page 117, you will see the ethical issues at stake according to Mr. Robert Goodin. First, we like to think about the question of paternalism and autonomy. Should the government regulate what people do? The argument goes that if it only affects you, the government has no role in telling you what to do. In other words, the government has no role in preventing you from doing harm to yourself if you so choose. What do you believe? Does the government have power over the free will of the people, the autonomy? Autonomy and beneficence seem to combine well, and if you aggregate non-maleficence, how can you avoid the argument of prohibiting smoking in all places? You read the arguments made by Philip Morris to the Czech Republic. $147 million were saved in 1997. Quite a stack of bills. Because of the premature death of smokers. Is this argument a good one? Should we not regulate smoking because after all, people do as they wish? And on top of that, it saves money for the state. How are we going to argue for one way or the other? Autonomy seems to have the upper hand. Anyways, people are doing what they want. Can cigarette companies ever hope to justify smoking? Is freedom to choose enough of a defense? Or is smoking simply indefensible? If you go on the section of opinions, you scroll down to Mr. Niels Eriksson from Sweden. He says, the logic of this report is insane. By the same argument, we should stop all treatment for hypertension, stop performing coronary bypasses, and abandon all mammography programs. In fact, we should encourage voluntary suicide at age 60. For those of us who have gone through the living hell of having close relatives and friends dying of smoking-induced cancer, the cost of the tobacco industry is immeasurable. I am amazed that any decent, self-respecting person can work in this industry and still manage to get a good night's sleep. My father died of cancer, indeed saving thousands of dollars, if not millions, to the U.S. government in both health costs as well as retirement. He died prematurely, only 5 years after his retirement age. He started smoking when Philip Morris and the good old Joe, the camel, visited his elementary school and distributed cigarettes as he exited school in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And from there on, he was hooked. He was also supported while he was in the Korean War, the Korean conflict, and the tobacco companies were so grateful and so sharing and good that they will send in every meal pack a pack of cigarettes. What responsibility the individual and society have? Paternalism is the idea that society has a role to have a bigger hand that will rule what people will do in order to protect them from themselves. The idea that we adults, we humans, we citizens need to be protected from ourselves. Is that a good argument? What values are at stake? If we think of the utilitarian approach, We will argue that the question at hand is what produces the best and the most satisfaction and happiness in the context of the system. If smokers are getting satisfaction and the social cost decreases because smokers die younger, why not say smoking is a good thing, and in fact we should encourage it? Are there eternal moral principles that society needs to uphold? Are there inherent values that distinguish us from animals? Or is it the survival of the fittest? In the context of these questions, there are no simple answers. As I shared with you when we begin this class, ethics has the currency of values. What values do we hold dear, and how we rank them in a hierarchical order will determine the actions that we will pursue. In the context of smoking, Seventh-day Adventists have been actively involved. We have been pursuing the idea that the government has a role as a father to oversee the choices of the citizens and to rule where smokers should smoke and not, in order to make it non-kosher anymore, not acceptable behavior. And in fact, in the US, it has become such. Smoking has been diminished in quantity and in spread. It is heavily taxed. In California, we have special taxes that we use for the health of children, the revenue collected. Is the government overdoing it? Was Philip Morris correct? I will argue that the government in California is doing right. And in fact, perhaps an even stiffer, bigger tax should be imposed. As a society, we have eternal values to uphold. The value of the life, the value of a human being, the value of quality of health. And we should not facilitate corporations to hold us captive with their strategies and their means and ways to promote their marketing plots. Nicotine was added in extra concentration to cigarettes in order to be sure to hook up the smoker. Children were enticed like my father was. And this is immoral. And as a society, we have something to say about it. I want you to engage this topic. There are other parts of the reading in these conversations I have with you. I choose to zero in one simple topic, but there are plenty more. Think about these values. Read the handout with the various values at stake. Think of the hierarchical order. This is a good exercise. Think of the 4 theoretical means that we have to think in context of ethics, and decide what is your position. Thank you.